delved into them too much, but obviously getting to know him and then getting to know that.
Doorbell.
Who's at the door, Nick?
Do you want to get it?
Who's at the door?
Who's at the door? That's a first.
Who's at the door? This is brand new. This is a brand new for the things part of the show.
Go. I'll. Do you want to get it?
Yeah, go. It was you. It wasn't me.
Was it?
Yes.
This week, in our 20th episode, we taste the Bulleit Kentucky Straight Bourbon 10-year-old.
And I interview Kevin Martin, the lead singer of Candlebox.
Remember, you can find some more juicy content on all our social media platforms, at Whiskey and Things Podcast on Instagram and at Whiskey and Things on Facebook and Twitter.
And while you're at it, please just drop us a review. We'd love a review. I think we've got 8 reviews on iTunes now, Nick. All of 8.
Wow.
Let's see if we can get to 10 by the end of the week. That would be lovely.
Would be lovely.
Lovely.
No pressure.
You're listening to the Whiskey and Things Podcast with Dave Giles and Nick Kent.
Welcome to Whiskey and Things, episode 20.
The big 2-0.
We're proper adults now.
I am Nick Kent. And you, if I'm not mistaken, are Dave Giles. Is that right?
What, me? I believe so, yeah.
That guy
yeah.
right there. That guy right there. How you doing, man? You right?
Not too bad. How about you?
I'm right. Congratulations on 20 episodes, mate.
And you as well. How are you wearing a jacket when it's this hot?
Put on one of my special Zara jackets for the 20th episode. Got light on it as well.
I'm sitting here in a vest, visibly sweating, visibly wet and moist.
Well.
And you're sitting there in a jacket looking immaculate.
Mate, I'm just a cooler character. What can I say? It's not my fault, you know? It's actually hot up here in the north as well. Or the Midlands, wherever I am.
It's the Midlands.
Yeah,
definitely the Midlands.
Yeah, we decided that, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You and I, and a friend of the Podrish, have decided Manchester, Midlands.
Definitely Midlands. Yes. You tried
Definitely
telling someone
Midlands.
from Manchester that. I did that the other day. We're not impressed. But there we go. Anyway.
It doesn't feel like 20, does it?
It doesn't, mate. 24th of March we started.
It's crazy, isn't it? You think when we did the YouTube show and we did 50 and...
Don't. Brings back nightmares.
I seem to say forever. And they were only 20 minutes long.
Were they?
Think about it. Yeah.
They're meant to be 5.
Think about it. Yeah.
That's the thing. Was it harder doing video than it is doing what is, obviously, because I have to talk just like that, which doesn't go well sometimes. With video, you can just kind of look at the camera and raise an eyebrow and then do a cheeky cutaway to Danny Gruff or something. But in this, we actually have to be verbally entertaining.
If you don't do a cut-off to Daddy Gruff now, I'm going to be really disappointed. If the sting isn't Daddy.
Oh, that's more work.
Well, you set yourself up for these things, Nick.
I know.
So while you're setting yourself up, should we just crack on?
Let's just get on with it before you give me some more
Let's
work
hear from
to do.
Danny. How's Danny doing?
Can we talk about Hoover porn again?
No, don't care. Don't care anymore.
Whiskey bots, roll out.
Hey, Nick, did you see what just happened on the news?
Just now?
Literally, like this afternoon.
No, I've been researching. What?
It's Thursday afternoon, right?
Yes, it is.
And the Speaker of the House of Commons
Oh, yeah.
has just confirmed his own whiskey.
He's confirmed it.
Yeah, so apparently this is a tradition which dates back all the way to the 1980s, Nick. All the way back there.
Long time.
According to the BBC, the House of Commons Speaker, Sir Lindsay Hoyle, has picked a variety of Scotch whiskey that will bear his name. So the Speaker has his own blended Scotch.
Amazing.
Which is on sale apparently at the Houses of Parliament gift shop. Well, I didn't even know they had a gift shop. I've been there. Where the hell is the House of Parliament gift shop? So it's called Speaker Hoyle's Select. And it's made me think that I should have gone into politics.
Is that the only reason not to make a difference? No, to get your own whiskey. Not to make a difference on society, David.
But the thing is, MPs, Nick, they're not allowed to drink in the Commons chamber, except
Damn straight.
the Chancellor.
The guy who's in charge of the money.
Yeah, and only when they deliver the budget. That's really weird, isn't it? And the only person who's ever done that was Ken Clark, who did it in the 90s.
Okay, that's a great fact.
And he sipped a whiskey as he laid out John Major's government's economics programme.
Amazing.
How crazy is that?
God.
How crazy is that? Anyway, a bit of fun
Just
fact
to
about
settle
whiskey.
the nerves. Good
So,
Lord.
the Speaker's got a whiskey and the Chancellor is allowed to drink whiskey in the Commons.
Brilliant.
Only when he delivers the budget.
Amazing.
Things I didn't know before today.
Well, there we go. There you go, listeners. Something
There you
to
go.
say in the pub to the people you already know because you can't mix with new people.
Anyway,
let's talk about this bourbon.
This week's whiskey.
Bulleit Kentucky Straight Bourbon, 10-year-old. Of course, some of you might remember we did the original back in week 2. I've got the original.
Have you? I've run out.
I had a little bit left for a infinity bottle, which I haven't done yet. So I'm going to drink that, kind of just to compare it a little bit with the 10-year-old here. Anyway, a little bit of a refresh on Bulleit if you haven't listened to episode 2. It's not Jim Bulleit, as Dave said originally, back in number 2, which was wonderful.
Jim Bulleit. Jimmy B.
Yeah, the original Bulleit was started, or the original thought of Bulleit bourbon was started by Augustus. What a great name. Augustus Bulleit, back in the 1800s.
Wasn't he a character in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory?
Is it?
I
don't know. Charlie and the Bourbon Factory. Oh, man. Yeah.
There it is.
There it is. Oh, that's a T-shirt in there somewhere, Dave.
That is a T-shirt, mate.
Yeah. Augustus Bulleit, back in the 1800s. Where was I? Yes, and his great-grandson, I think it was. Anyway, might be just grandson. Tom Bulleit started Bulleit again in the 1980s. 87 is when he started distilling. Bulleit have opened their new distillery in 2017, making their own stuff. But for years and years, it was actually Four Roses Distillery who made Bulleit. So they sourced it for ages and ages and ages. Yeah, that's pretty standard with a lot of bourbons. I love the stuff on the website of how they've described the story. I'm going to say it in like a movie voice, Dave.
A whiskey nearly lost forever.
This is how they say it.
A tavern keeper in the 1830s, Louisville, Kentucky, Augustus Bulleit, was dedicated to a single goal: the creation of a bourbon unique in flavor. After experimenting with countless varieties, he finally came up with a bourbon with the character he had long sought for.
This is the best bit, though.
Yeah.
One fateful day, while transporting his barrels of bourbon from Kentucky to New Orleans, Augustus Bulleit vanished. What happened is still unknown, and his creation nearly disappeared into history along with him.
Wow.
Yeah, that was 1860 apparently. He went missing. No one knows what happened to him. That's on the website, so it's very dramatic. But
it's very dramatic. Who knew?
Who knew, eh?
Well, anyone who's been on the website.
But I love it. It sounds all really American and stuff, but it's actually brewed by the Kirin Brewing Company, which is a Japanese integrated beverage company.
No way.
Yep, which is owned by Diageo. Big business.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
Yeah, of course it is. But who cares as long as they make good stuff, eh? In 2017, Diageo opened the Bulleit Distillery, the new one, in Shelbyville. I thought they were just famous for making turnip juice.
Do you know there's a load of Shelbyvilles in America, and they're all next to Springfield. There's like loads of different places.
I don't believe you.
No, there is. No, I promise. I keep driving past them when I'm on my road trips. I'm like, oh, look, Shelbyville. And then on the Springfield.
That was a classic episode, that was.
Yeah, amazing.
It was wonderful. Anyway, shall we have a little look at this?
Why not?
10 years. So you got an extra 4 years than what we tried before. So is there a difference, Dave? You haven't got it side by side, have you?
No.
I have. So I'm just going to let's go an extra 4 years. So it is slightly darker.
I was going to say, it does look darker than what I remember Bulleit to be. And someone who's drunk quite a lot of that.
It's the same mash bill, same everything, just aged an extra 4 years because original Bulleit is around 6 years they age it.
Right. I mean, that just reminds me of paint and decorating. I'm not going to lie. Well, maybe it was the white spirits or the spirits in the paint or something like that. But
it's the ethanol, right?
Yeah, it's quite ethanol based. Well, ethanol-y.
I'm getting cherry and cola. And side by side, it's sweeter on the nose than the original.
It's definitely sweeter on the nose. Okay, now I'm going past the alcohol. I am getting that cherry cola vibe.
Cherry cola.
And quite marzipan. A weird marzipan, which again, that cherry, we've said that before about cherry cola and marzipan being similar.
Yeah. Anyway, stop posing with the nosing.
What's the standard Bulleit strength, Nick?
Standard's 45.
Right. Okay. Well, this is 45.6.
Yeah, it's just a little bit more.
It does feel a bit stronger. It's definitely got more of a burn to it.
I was hit by spice because this has got quite a high rye content compared to other bourbons. It's like 28% rye, 68% corn and 4% malted barley. So, the 28% is quite a lot compared to others.
But did you pick up the spice in the original as well? Because obviously it's the same amount of rye in the original Bulleit.
Let me have a look.
But I can't. I mean, you're right. It does feel a bit spicy.
Yeah, you do. I think you almost taste it more
In the original?
Yeah. I think maybe the aging has maybe taken more of the wood characteristics and maybe a bit more of the sweetness from the charred barrels, the caramelization.
Do you know what? That's what this reminds me of. You know, I've made some barbecue sauces in my time, Nicholas.
I have, mate. They've been good. I've run out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one of them, we burnt some peaches.
Oh, yeah.
And that was how we made the base. It was like this burnt peachy thing.
Caramelized. Caramelized peaches.
And the smell we'd made from that reminds me a lot of how this tastes. As soon as I had it, I was like, this reminds me of being in the kitchen when we did that barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
And it's really that burnt boiling fruit. We flamed it up. You can really get that, can't you? I'm getting that.
Caramelized fruits. Yeah.
Yeah, not many people would have had that as a standard. You don't you don't burn many fruits on a regular basis, but you can really, for me, it's a vivid memory of creating those sauces, which is reminding me of that flavour. Which would suggest that I think this would be great with a barbecue.
Oh, mate, yeah. Because I'm imagining caramelized pineapple on a burger.
Oh.
Yeah?
Oh.
You feeling that?
Yeah. Nick, I quite like this. There is a more oakiness, woodiness to it. Almost smokiness, but it's not smoky.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean by that?
There is a touch. I know what you mean. Again, that might be from the charred, more time in the barrel.
The charred stuff. Yeah, it's that charred something or other. There is a little bit of that in there. Yeah, that's really nice.
It's
nice. Really nice. I'm not sure I'd want this as a daily.
It's not different enough from the original Bulleit, I think. And again, is it worth the extra money, right? Because this is about 40 quid, this bottle. The original's 25 to 28, depending on where you get it. So for the extra 4 years, you're adding like
I'm not getting
15.
I'm not getting that much extra flavour.
Yeah,
but I really like the original. So I think it's always going to be tough to get a jump up.
Yeah, totally. It is nice. I'm seeing a difference.
There's some roasted pepper in there as well.
There's definitely some pepper. Yeah.
Roasted red pepper.
Oh yeah. Again, charred red pepper.
Yeah. Again,
barbecue vibes. Mate, it's just...
yeah.
It's why it just goes so well with barbecue food. This is the thing.
Yeah, maybe it's because it's so nice outside and I'm thinking of barbecues. Maybe it's because I've been cleaning a barbecue grill most of this week. But...
Have you?
Yeah. The long story that I've even had my thumb.
Oh, does that smell like Band-Aid? Does it?
That's why I could smell Band-Aid on the...
Oh, mate. Dude, I looked up this morning why certain scotches smell like Band-Aid.
Oh, yeah.
It's very boring, and I'm not going to talk about it.
Yeah, this is nice. It's pleasant. I don't think it's worth the extra money. If you just want a good bourbon, and I would go with the Bulleit Standard.
Yeah. But it is cool, though. Like, I know you like Bulleit. If I felt like treating Dave Giles, I'd get him a bottle of 10. Yeah,
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I wouldn't be disappointed with it.
No,
I wouldn't be disappointed at all.
What have I done?
Yeah, exactly. But then I'd save it for the special occasions, or I'd have it as like my first whiskey of the night, and then move on to standard.
Yes.
Like kind of vibe, just because it's got that little bit more, just a little bit more that it's like, oh, that's nice.
It has. It's got a little bit more. There's definitely more flavour to it. It's different. Yeah. Yes. Well done, Bulleit.
Yeah, not bad. I like that.
Or Four Roses, whoever made this.
Or Diageo.
10 years ago. Thank you. Team effort.
Yes.
Love it.
Yes.
Stay tuned, because later in the show, we'll be hearing from the Whisky God to hear his views on this 10-year-old Bulleit bourbon.
Kentucky whiskey.
As we start this things section, we did get interrupted by the postman. Nick has taken a delivery and now he's getting hot, so his jacket might come off. No, just so you know, listeners, I like to keep you up to date with what's going on.
Yeah, it's good visual. Good visual. Audio aid.
It's getting a little bit moist on the forehead. A little bit moist. Not as moist as me, but it's not as...
Someone to dab me.
I need a volunteer.
A dabber. Dabber?
Where's Danny when you need him?
I know, I need a dabber. Is there an app for that?
I really thought it was Daddy at the door. I was like, if it's Daddy, after I was like that whole how's Daddy thing at the start, I was like, that would be amazing.
He knew. I had him on speaker on my phone. Like, come around.
Yeah, you must have texted him, actually. Can you come round? That'd be quite fun. It would save me an editing job. Cheers.
Get on with it, Dave. What have you done this week? 'Cause I've done nothing.
Yeah, well, not a great deal. I've been trying to clean a barbecue grill and hurt my thumb. But I did wake up on Tuesday morning to an Instagram message from Kevin Martin of Candlebox fame.
Did you now?
Yeah, he slid into my DMs.
Oh, cheeky.
Asking if I would like to record a cover with him and the rest of the band over the next couple of weeks. I know, it's pretty cool. We're going to be doing Under Pressure, and I'm going to be David Bowie.
Oh.
Except I'm going to be me.
My first beer. No?
I mean, that's just a sublime impression, Nick.
Thanks.
Sublime.
It's almost as if he's back.
Have you done it before? It's like you've rehearsed that.
I was rehearsing it quite recently, actually.
Yeah.
Don't know why. Please carry on.
Anyway, so this is a big deal. So Kevin Martin is in the band called Candlebox, as I just mentioned.
Yep.
I got to know him and Candlebox through Adam Curry, who played bass on my album. And Dean DiCioso, who produced that album, has recently produced the new Candlebox album, the next Candlebox album. So that's where the connections are. Now, in the UK, there's probably a lot of people, if they're from the UK, listening to this going, who are Candlebox? But in America, they were very big. They had an album come out in July 1993 that went quadruple platinum.
Ooh, dear. Quadruple.
And
Jesus.
it got all the way into the top 20 of the Billboard chart. So they had some big time success in the 90s and have carried on. And the band has changed over the years, but Kevin's been the constant as the singer all the way through. And they're really good. They're just really good. And the current lineup is delightful. Yeah. So I asked him if he'd like to do a little interview for us for episode 20. I thought, well, we'll get Kevin on for the special episode 20.
What did he say, Dave? What did he say?
He said, of course. So,
what a nice guy.
Here is
bit of luck, wasn't it?
Part 1 of my interview with Mr. Kevin Martin of Candlebox.
Things.
Hello, Kevin Martin. Thanks very much for joining us.
How you going, mate? Nice to talk with you.
So, how is life in America? How's things been going over in California for you?
It's a little strange. It's this is the longest I've been home in probably, I'd say 19 years.
Wow.
The last time I was home longer than 3 months was 2001. I mean, it's been nutty, really, really nutty. But it's good. I mean, I don't really have any complaints. It's nice to be chilling with my kid and my wife and be home. I haven't had to do this in a while, but LA is weird. I mean, we have people aren't paying attention. People don't want to wear masks and they go to grocery stores and they bitch about it. It's strange. You think about like life in general, say the 30s, 40s and 50s, where this country, America, was trying to rebuild itself, after the Great Depression, and people were doing things for one another. People were taking care of one another. People would take vaccines or be careful around people who had polio and stuff like that. Nobody gives a shit in America. Yeah. Just don't care. And it's sad.
It's so true over here. We've got the whole, everyone talking about Blitz mentality and how London survived the Blitz. Well, they survived it by following the orders that we were given. Yeah. And no one is, well, not no one, but not enough people are.
No.
And of course, this is also like a forced holiday, which I know I wouldn't have taken a holiday this long for sure. But with that, there are obviously some disappointments. I'm guessing you had to delay some things. You recently recorded your next album with Dean DiCioso.
Yeah, it was supposed to come out this month.
Oh, wow.
And so we've had to postpone that till next year. I think with all the restructuring of the record labels and the touring industry, over here, the word is that we're not going to see touring until 2022.
Oh, wow.
Well, that's mainly because the venues can't get insurance. That's a huge thing. I guess it's probably for the best that we're not releasing a record because we can't support it. You have to support an album when you release it. You know that.
Yeah.
What do I do? Luckily I've been able to save enough money up over the past few years to
survive.
Take time off. Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty crazy, especially when the product is good to go, right? It's a finished album, but there's actually no point in doing anything with it.
No.
I mean, were you pleased with the process of making the album at least? Was that all an enjoyable experience and you're happy with what you've got? Or I know it's like working with Dean. It's okay.
It's not. Dean was amazing. Dean is amazing. I wasn't ready to make this record. I kind of forced myself to do it. And I've been known to do that in my life before. and made records that I wasn't happy with. Namely a record called Lucy, which was our second album. This record was interesting because we had the songs. Everybody was ready to make the record except me. I just wasn't feeling like it was time for me to make an album. So when the record was recorded, come like the first week of September last year, I put it away and said, I'm not ready to do vocals. And I told Dean, I said, let's shoot for December. That'll give me time to work on the lyrics that I had that I was throwing away and stuff that I wanted to keep to move around, things that I wanted to say. And then that got pushed to January. So I actually finished this record between January 9th and January 13th. I did 12 songs in 4 days. And then I went on tour. I did 8 dates in February, and then the world shut down come March 14th. So, or 17th rather. So it was really late to the game. We had everything ready to go to release the album. They were just waiting for me to finish the lyrics and the vocals. So when I did that, the packaging and all the artwork and everything was ready to go. And then Sony said, listen, we're not releasing anything other than, the superstar top 40 stuff that everybody wants to hear right now. So it got shelved. Well, it'll come out next year at some point, but
it's just so frustrating because I've never had that because I'm my own label. I've always, when I finish something, I put it out. I couldn't sit on something. It must be frustrating sitting on it, knowing it's done and you can't do anything with it. Yeah, that must be quite tough.
It's frustrating me. It's frustrating me to the point where, like, I'm listening to it. I just listened to it in the car this morning. I was out running errands and I'm thinking, we're releasing this first lyric video August, I think 24th, for the song that I wrote with Peter Cornell, Chris's older brother, who I've known, for a long, long time. And that's coming out August 24th. And I'm kind of like, do we do this or do we not? Do we wait and hang on to it? And my management's kind of like, listen, this will keep people salivating. And then of course we're doing these cover songs, which I've asked you to do with us, which I'm really excited about. We're using like 6 different drummers. We're having 5 or 6 different singers sing with me. We're doing duets. That keeps it keeps their palates a bit wet, but everybody's waiting for this record and I really want to release it. I don't love this album. And that to me makes me think that maybe we did the right thing with this record. Every time I've loved a record, it hasn't done well. And every time I've disliked a record, it's done well. So. Yeah. I didn't like the first record. It did amazing. I didn't like the second record. It didn't do so well, but that was a different story.
Wow. Must be quite frustrating not to be able to trust your instincts on what you think is good.
Dave, I mean, I'm like, I say it all the time. I'm the reluctant lead singer of a rock and roll band that was a punk drummer in a punk band.
Right.
So I kind of got thrown into this world and becoming a singer in a band, and it's funny. I look at myself singing and I'm like, how does that, still doesn't connect after 30 years of me doing this as a career. I never really trust my instincts. Even when I'm singing a song or writing lyrics for a song, I don't trust them because it's not my first choice. People say I do a good job at it and it's paid my rent for 30 years, but I still kind of not really wanted to be the singer of a rock and roll band.
So obviously 30 years is quite a long time now you've been doing this. I love the fact that you're still making music and still doing it and actually getting out there. Is it a case of you just don't know anything else, or you just are so into the music and making it and that process?
I think it's a bit of both. I don't really know any better, or I have other skills. So I do other things, but music has, since probably 2 or 3 years old, it's been the only thing I've ever wanted. I always just wanted to have a band. I wanted to have a band like my favorite bands, like everything I grew up listening to, where it was one for all for one, and you were going to go down in flames. And of course, I had that for 2 records, and then the wheels started falling off and band members left. And now I'm the only original member of Candlebox. I've got great friends that play with me that I love. And this is the band that I have now is my all-time favorite band that I've ever played with. I think it's just because we all kind of see things the same way. Whereas with Pete and Barty and Scott, we were all such individual characters that it was almost like that was when Candlebox was the sum of its parts rather than its whole. Yeah. And now I think Candlebox is its whole. I'm very, very lucky. It's all I know. It's all I ever wanted. And then at the same time, it's everything I hate. And it's a love-hate relationship. I hate that I'm home right now. I really, really, really want to be playing shows. But I know if I was on the road like I was supposed to be right now for about 3 weeks, I'd be like, I want to go home.
Come over to Kentucky and enjoy some bourbon.
Does he think we're Australian, Dave?
Yeah. There's an element of that, isn't it? It's a pretty standard American impression of
An Australian person.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed that. That was really good. Slightly depressed me when he said that touring might not be back until 2022.
I know.
But it's what everyone's got to, unfortunately, accept at the moment. No, that was great.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, he's a fascinating guy. We talk a lot more, and we're going to have a second part of this interview coming up later on in the show.
Fantastic.
He's just a really, really nice guy, really honest as well, which is really, really refreshing.
Yeah.
But so should we see what the God's up to this week?
We might as well. Otherwise, this episode's going to get longer and longer. Right. Do you think he's around? What are we doing? Like a little dance? Episode 20. You should know the deal by now.
He should just, yeah.
It's a bourbon.
What if I wave some under his nose? Oh, that did the trick.
Here he is.
Sometimes you just have to give him a smell of it.
Here he is.
You spoke a lot in last week's episode of replacing me. Is that how you repay 20 weeks of my expert services?
That was Dave. Blame Dave for that one.
Actually, that was me.
Yeah.
But,
I still love you.
I just think we should mix it up a bit, God. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
It's Jeff Whiskey. He knows his stuff, I guess.
He does know his stuff.
Who is this Jeffro character? This Jeff Whiskey? This amateur? Let's get this straight. His name is Jeff. He rates whiskey with a scale of how many Jeffs the whiskey deserves? Awesome, Jeff.
Wow.
Great talk.
Sass.
Good job.
Sass from the Whisky God.
Wow. Well, I like Jeff's whiskey rating system. I think it's very obvious. Has different categories, and it appeals to me.
Yeah, and
it appeals to me.
In your head, the little Jeffs just look different to everyone. You know?
Exactly.
Put a little stamp on the Jeffs.
Exactly.
Yeah. Maybe we should have like little whiskey gods.
Well, I was just thinking
groups.
that. So God, what I would like right now is to hear your tasting notes and review of the Bulleit 10-year-old bourbon. And in an ideal world, tell me how many gods you rate it.
Bulleit Kentucky Straight Bourbon, 10-year-old. Tasting notes. On the eyes, a golden amber. On the nose, floral notes mixed with maple syrup. Tinges of sweet, orange-like citrus notes tingle the nose with some green, plant-like qualities. There is an astringent sting, but definitely from a refinement of the alcohol, not that ethanol astringency of something younger. On the palate, immediately spicy, dry, bang, and there's that sting. After your mouth is desensitized by it, further notes unlock combining spicy with sweet, such as spicy dried apricot, burnt oak and cola. A sort of dark mint follows and ends in a calming caramelized vanilla. Then you notice the mouth-watering. You need another sip. With water, those floral notes soften and lead to a sort of candied holiday nut arrangement. Maple and cinnamon peek out here. The spiciness subdues, and that dried apricot now moistens into a flourish of cherry syrup. The mouth-watering quality is also quelled, but leaves behind spicy citrus notes, still inviting for another glass. On the finish, burnt wood and spiciness linger for quite a while. The sweet fruit also fades nicely, smoky, long, and rich. Overall, this whiskey is quite complex and oddly does not seem to sing a similar song to its younger, standard bottle of Bulleit. While there are enticing complexities in this whiskey, I do not quite feel it was the most appropriate mosaic of flavors. The flavors alone are gorgeous, but the combination here was confusing. Was I tasting 10-year refinement? Or 10-year confusion? Was it an experiment? Well, if it was, not all accidents are happy accidents. One will not regret purchasing this bottle for about $40, but I wonder if one would return. Bulleit Kentucky Straight Bourbon, 10-year-old. Ta-ta.
Not a fan then.
Well, he didn't give us a rating out of God's.
No, it's not his style, is it?
I'm disappointed.
Well, after you've threatened to get rid of him or whatever, he's not going to like bow down and start reviewing things in baby whiskey gods or whatever. I don't blame him.
I think he should. I think it's a much better system. Anyway, anything on that you want to talk about, Nick?
Well, he wasn't a fan, was he?
He said.
Yeah. I mean, he got the cola and spiciness. Yeah. It's a long, rich finish. You know, I agree with that.
He got the ethanol on the nose, like I said.
He did. But yeah, as he kind of the same vibe with us. It's nice, but well, he was a bit more mean about it. We think it's not worth the extra money, but he was getting a bit mean. But,
that was 2 weeks in a row he's been mean. Is he just in a mood? Is he taking out the fact that we're threatening to replace him on distilleries?
Yes. He's trying to get us in the bad books of all the distilleries because you're threatening to get rid of him. That's what it is. Distilleries are going to hear his reviews and be like, these guys don't like us. They're not going to send you any nice samples in the future when we're a huge podcast, Dave. No?
Keep thinking, Butch. That's what you're good at.
That's what I'm good at. Right. We'll hear again from the Whisky God next week.
Hopefully he'll keep it a little bit shorter.
Yeah, I know. He's gone on a bit, wasn't he? Sting me.
Right, Nick, shall we hear more from Kevin Martin?
I would love to. I'm sure our listeners would too.
So last year, Candlebox did come over to the UK and they did a tour. And I met up with them when they arrived at Heathrow and then went to watch the first gig out in Bristol. And it was crazy because obviously this is a big band who in the US are used to playing bigger places, and they're playing the Fleece in Bristol. And there was about 50 people there, 30 to 50 people there. And it was pretty crazy to see a band that, you know, like everything about that show was a different level of professionalism that you wouldn't necessarily see on those kind of stages. It was a big show in a small place to not many people.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, some musicians would have an ego about that and get depressed about it or think it's beyond them. But every one of the bands seemed to have a great time. They were enjoying it. They embraced everyone who was there.
Yeah.
They had drinks with everyone before and afterwards. They were getting involved with the support acts. It was really good to see someone that's an established act somewhere else coming somewhere where they're brand new. Well, not brand new, but somewhere where they're kind of starting over to an extent. It was their first UK tour in God knows how long. And not be idiots, like not be dicks. Yeah. Actually embrace the situation.
Yeah, it's good. But they probably like missed playing little clubs and stuff. You know, there's a completely different vibe, which is as fun, sometimes more, because you're closer to everyone. It's more intimate.
Yeah.
You know.
So I brought that up and I asked Kevin about it and thought it'd be an interesting thing to talk about.
Sweet.
What I said earlier, you know, about like hating and loving this band, the reason that show was what it was is this band is so much fun to play with.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be 10,000 people, because Island will do something, or Brian or Dave or Adam, that will freak me out on stage. And I love it because they're so talented and I'm so lucky to play with them. So that's why it's, you know, you get a show like that out of us because we're not in it for the money. You know, we were a band that got lucky and had a hit back in 1993 that's paid my rent for 30 years. Ever since then, it's just been about the music, you know? And even then, when I wrote the song about Andy, Far Behind, it was a song I wrote for a friend of mine that passed away. It wasn't my intention to write, you know, a Don't Stop Believin' ballad or something like that. It was a song I wrote for a friend that happened to give me this career. So it's never been about anything but the music.
You and I had a conversation when you were over about how, and I found it really inspiring, about how you like to give opportunities to up-and-coming musicians and smaller acts because you were given those opportunities.
In this day and age, it's really difficult to break as an artist. You know, you're trying everything you can. You've got the social network and all the bullshit. There's so many ways to get music out there, but it's really hard for people to see that talent unless they're looking for it. And in my opportunity, or what I see as my opportunity, is to take these bands that I really respect and that I think people should hear or see, and give them that opportunity. I take bands out on the road. Did I pay $750 a night that are worth $100?
Yeah.
But it's my way of paying it back, that opportunity that was given to me back in 1993 by a band called Living Colour. And then in 1994 by the guys in Rush. And then in the summer of 94 with Metallica. And then Henry Rollins in the fall of 94 in Europe. All these opportunities that were given to me. And of course, we were selling tickets for these bands. Don't get me wrong. They saw an opportunity for a younger audience to come in, especially the Rush guys, which, we spent 3 months with them and they explained it to us at the end of the tour. We picked you guys because we knew that there was something happening. We'd gone out and played for 20 people a night. We played a show in Madison, Wisconsin in August of 1993 to 5 people. That was the staff at the club. So, all of a sudden we go out with Living Colour. We're playing to 2,500 people a night in, October, November, December of 1993. Come back to Seattle. Our song "You" has now taken our record to gold, and we do 3 nights sold out at the Paramount Theater in Seattle, which is at the time was 3,000 seats. So we did 9,000 seats. 7 months earlier, we couldn't sell out a 500-seat venue. Yeah. Those opportunities that were given to us by those bands is something. It's my responsibility to give that back to the bands that I respect, that I think people should hear.
So this podcast, Kevin, is called Whiskey and Things. And you like a whiskey?
I do like a whiskey. It's too early in the afternoon for me to have one.
I'm glad you said that. But what's your go-to whiskey, and what's your special occasion whiskey? My
go-to is, it really kind of depends. I mean, I'm a fan of Woodford Reserve. It's a very subtle, it's a nice bourbon. It's clean. The distillation process is really nice. It's got a little bit of a burn to it, which I kind of like in my whiskey. I love a good rye. But my go-to's, generally Woodford or even Maker's Mark, which is it's a classic old American. I'm not a Jack Daniel's guy per se. I find it a little bit too sweet, if you will. But yeah, I mean, I'll have 1 or 2 glasses of whiskey a night. My specialty, my splurge. I love Weller's. I just absolutely love that. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful whiskey and bourbon. And of course, Whistle Pig. They're doing some 15-year-old rye right now, which is insane. It's very expensive. It's like $300 a bottle. It's magnificent, man. And then I love the classic scotches. Macallan and Oban are 2 of my go-tos when I want to drink some scotch. Also, the Pappy Van Winkle is one of my all-time favorites as well. The guys bought me a bottle of 15-year-old for my 50th birthday.
Wow.
And
wow.
So I said to him, I was like, I don't pay you guys enough to be buying me shit like this. But
yeah, that's a crazy present. Lucky
so
guy.
I won't open that. I won't open that for probably another 15 years, and I'll probably sell it.
Yeah. That's for sure. For sure. I remember you telling me that you not rely on it, but you certainly use whiskey to help you sing. Is that still something, or did I misinterpret what you said there?
No, 100%. Yeah. It's liquid courage to get out on stage, and then it's liquid love to keep singing. For me, I think it kind of allows me to go vocally where I want to. Maybe it's because I'm, numbing the shit out of my vocal cords or something. I'm not really sure, but I've tried not drinking on stage. I've tried warm-ups before shows. 30 years of singing, I've tried it all. And I find that whiskey is the one thing, even in the studio, that can keeps my voice where I need it to be. I certainly don't abuse it and go through, 6 or 7 glasses while I'm, on stage singing, doing concert or in the studio. But I will have, at least 2 glasses of whiskey when I'm in the studio making a record. And I like to actually switch it up every day. If I'm going to be in the studio for 5 days doing vocals, I'll have a different whiskey per day to see what it brings to me. There's a song on this record that we actually had to redo a vocal on, because Dean, we came in the next day and Dean's like, "You're a little bit sloshed right here." Which I was. I mean, I remember I was like, "Oh, that was the last song we did, right?" And he's like, "Yeah." And we had been drinking since 2:00 or something. So, but it was just this one part where I got a little bit sloppy and slurry. And Dean was like, it's too obvious. So we actually had to, retake the vocal for that. But there's also fun in that, man. Like, go out and get, drunk and make a record. I mean, if you're able to do that and you're not an alcoholic and you can enjoy it, there's a lot of fun in that, man. Those inhibitions go away.
Yeah, when I made the record with Adam and Kevin Harland in Nashville and Dean in Nashville, certainly there were certain songs when we were like just struggling, and it was like, right, everyone, let's just go and have a whiskey.
Yeah,
and we'd enjoy a whiskey together, go back in that room, and it would be there. It would just it just relax the muscles or whatever it was, just that de-stress or whatever. Whenever things were just getting a little bit on top, it took the pressure off. It was just a nice little thing. And Dean made me get drunk to perform one vocal. He was like, I want you drunk on this one. Yeah. So he was feeding me all day long.
And there's fun in that, man. There's a lot of fun in that because you'll go places that you wouldn't normally go mentally, you know?
Yeah. There was the performance he got out of me from that wasn't what I would have done. And it's great for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though it is a bit pitchy, it's perfect performance, and that's what it was all about. So,
and that's what he wants.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, Kevin, thanks so much for coming on the pod. Really appreciate it. We'll be sure to give all the album a plug when it eventually comes out, and I'm sure we'll hear from you again as well.
Yeah, I hope so. Listen, man, I'm really looking forward to singing with you on this track. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
You're listening to the Whiskey and Things podcast.
Oh, he loves his whiskey. That was really good to hear. That was really good to hear. I enjoyed that. Woodford Reserve, nice. Likes a rye. He knows his rye
courage.
Spice. Yes, exactly. The Whistle Pig he was talking about. I've been looking into Whistle Pig recently because we're looking into the next few weeks and next batches of whiskey we want, and for the show. And I looked into Whistle Pig. It's rather expensive, David.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's silly money, isn't it?
I looked at the 14-year-old Boss Hog, £550 a bottle. Just for the show, it'll be about 40 quid a sample each.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we'll have to pass on that one.
Yeah, we might have to
moment.
pass on that. But
unless, of course, lots of people sign up to our Patreon account where they can hear the full interview with Kevin Martin, where there's a lot more that me and him discuss in that interview. How about that for a link, Nick? How about that?
Listeners, that wasn't even set up. Wasn't even set up.
No,
what? Look at that, 20 episodes. We're really getting there, mate. We're really getting there.
Firing on all cylinders. Yeah. So you can head over to our Patreon page, patreon.com/whiskey and things, whiskey without an E, and find out, hear the full interview with Kevin and watch it. We filmed it as well.
I was just going to touch on the fact that the part he's talking about taking out younger bands because he's been given that chance from bands when he was kind of getting established. That's exactly the same thing we experienced in Tat when we went out to the States.
Yeah.
People like Kevin Lyman and Fat Mike of NoFX and the guys from the Bouncing Souls. We were a small band and they kind of saw us, they liked us, and they took us on tour. And they paid us, especially Kevin Lyman, paid us a lot more than we were meant to get or we would deserve because he wanted to give us that chance to get going, you know. And Alice Cooper as well. You know, he took us out. His whole team looked after us.
Nick, I think you just dropped something, mate.
Oh, right, hang on.
It was a bit of a clang there.
You know, it was, yeah. Well, seeing as you're thinking about dropping one Whisky God, I thought I'd drop a rock god on you. But no, it is the same kind of thing. That's what we noticed out there in the States. The older bands really do help the young ones, which is really good to see. And I liked hearing
It's great to see, isn't it? It's absolutely great. I found that part really inspiring. And when him and I spoke about that last year, his whole attitude, we went for dinner, and his whole attitude about talking about looking out for people and who he wants to do, and that, like, I know he's personally donated to opening acts in Manchester crowdfunder this week.
Yes,
it's not just that he gives those bands an opportunity to perform with them. He then keeps when he sees a band he likes, and I saw him in the room, he stands there and he watches the bands.
Yeah.
And when he sees a band that he likes, he then keeps tabs on what they're doing and what they're up to. And I think that's just wonderful. And the fact he's asked me to sing a song just because I know Adam and give me an opportunity to reach their audience over there. It's just,
that's great.
It's nice. He's got the right attitude.
It's the way it should be.
Exactly. More like him, please. More like him.
Yes.
So if you want to find out more about Candlebox, it's pretty easy. You just go on the internet and you add Candlebox after any of your social media things and you'll find them. Kevin's also got all of his own social medias as well. Rather than read them out, you can just look in the description of the video and they're all in there. But essentially you'll find him from the Candlebox stuff. And also, I'm going to add some Candlebox songs to our Spotify playlist. If you're looking for Whiskey and Things on Spotify, you can listen to this episode and then listen to some Candlebox songs, which I think are really great, and some of the ones he mentioned as well.
Wonderful.
So, yeah, thanks, Kevin, for coming on.
Thanks, dude.
The whiskey.
There we go, Dave. Episode 20. Done.
In the bag. Done and dusted. Thanks very much. Cheers. Thanks for coming.
Good job. Go sports team.
We've heard, as always, we've been hearing from people, and please do keep your comments coming in on what we're up to and share your stories with us. A couple of weeks ago, remember when we were talking about you playing at Download?
Yeah. Fun days.
Well, a couple of things. I said that Carla James was probably going to be there.
Yeah.
Because she seems to have been everywhere. And she laughed a lot when she heard that. And she said she hates to ruin it, but she wasn't there.
I'm insulted that you weren't there.
But that year,
James.
2005, was the year she started going to gigs and went from 14 gigs before that year to 70 a year. So that was a big year for her in terms of going to gigs. It's no surprise. We've been to so many where she's been at.
Good.
Also on Instagram, we heard from Ben _R1978, and he said he was there.
Oh, no, I read this one.
He watched you play at Download.
Was his little brother?
Yeah, he thinks so, because his little bro was in a punk band at the time and was keen to listen. And we then watched the BMX jump off. So that's pretty cool. And he's clearly been listening a while, because he also told us that his first gig was the Michael Jackson Bad Tour back in 1988.
Mate, that's great.
Which is pretty crazy.
That is crazy. I bet that gig was a lot more fun than mine. You didn't need binoculars to see Michael Jackson, I don't think.
Well, maybe.
Or maybe. Depends on the seats you had.
He would only been young, so he may have been at the back.
Yeah. Thank you for getting in touch.
Was.
That's awesome. I hope you did enjoy the show all those years ago. Funny, mate. Small world. Small world.
Love how those things come together. Anyway, Nick, what we got up coming in episode 21, the 21.
Big T1. Right. We're going far afield, Dave.
Yeah? Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. We're going to India. India, of all places.
India?
Yeah. We're going to be trying the Paul John edited Indian single malt whiskey. So
nice.
Yes.
See, before we started this podcast, I had no idea that Indian whiskey was even a thing, and now I'm going to try one. I love it.
Well, when we started this podcast, you pronounced it Bourbon as well. So we're all learning.
True.
Well, thank you. Yes. As well, next week I'll be talking about another course that I'm doing courtesy of the Edinburgh Whisky Academy as well. So, yes, tune in for that. So, yeah. Any more you'd like to add, David?
Thanks to Kevin Martin for coming on.
Yep.
Thanks for Jim Bulleit for providing another fantastic whiskey.
Yes. Let's let the whiskey bots go.
Cheers. Thanks for coming.
Whiskey and Things has been brought to you by